and Private Seeverst. And they're off. Charlie Swell, slow to go. One and only one man sprinting right there with exponentially only chasing second. And Private Stevens and Danger Hook. His red and black attack is about 6 lengths off that pace up ahead as they journey past the 5/8. And Charlie Swell now a lot to do after that long layoff. It's 13 lengths off the lead. One and only love man leads at 3/4 of a length, getting some heat from Private Stevens. Exponentially is back third view the inside. Danger Hook is in fourth, and guided to the inside is red and black attack is still at an even pace around the far turn. Red and black attack still lingers some 6 or 7 lengths on the front, and Charlie Swell is last. So one and only love man still in front by 3/4 of a length. Private Stevens, Danger Hook's on the outside in third. Another 3 exponentially racing fourth. Red and black attacks got to get going and got to get going now and swinging to the outside of the stretch drive, but still second last, and Charlie Swell is the trailer. They're coming to the final furlong. One and only love man. One and only love man. 4 clear from Danger Hook. Red and black attack down the track, but very, very late. Too late. One and only love man with a one and only Russell Waves aboard. To win by 4.5%. Danger Hook and red and black attack and Private Stevens.
That was Dave Rodman, the voice of the Preakness Stakes. That was back in, it was about 7 years ago, in 2015 at Cal Expo when Dave Rodman was filling in. I thought I'd put that in there as we approach the Preakness Stakes. Welcome to the Preakness Stakes preview. I'm Nick. I'm sorry.
I'm Gerald. I'm
He's
Nick.
Nick. Which way is it pointing? Are you that way or are you that way?
On my screen, I'm in the bottom right.
I think you're that way.
Bottom left. Yeah.
Anyway,
there you go.
I'm Gerald.
We got
That's
this one.
Nick.
We got this one scheduled. We're all set.
Yeah, we are. So we had a shocker in the Derby. Rich Strike at 80-1, the longest shot on the board. Came out of nowhere. Got a really nice ride. I'm the jockey. I'm trying to. Sonny Leon.
Yep.
Made a couple nice moves. It opened up for him along the rail, and he blew by Epicenter and Zandon and shocked the world. I don't know. I know it blew a lot of people's tickets up. I was fortunate to have an exacto with Rich Strike over Epicenter just because I liked Epicenter so much. I didn't want to get beat, so I used some 7 horses over Epicenter, and it paid off big time. So I was fortunate of that. You liked Zandon to come down the stretch, and he showed up. I didn't think he was going to be there, but he sure looked like he was going to make a run there for a minute. I thought he was going to get there.
He should have got there. I mean, that's why I believe he's not in the Preakness this week, is that he looked like he should have been running. He was much further back than Epicenter was in that pace. The pace was faster than even I thought it was on our last show. I thought it was going to be outrageously fast. And Classic Causeway, who was extremely fast, just couldn't keep up with how fast it actually was. But yeah, I mean, Zandon had every right to go and be Rich Strike and had every right to win that race. And Epicenter, he was close to that pace the entire time. At one point, I think he was 5 whole lengths back and then 8th at the first call. And it's like, with that pace, every other horse collapsed. And so he was really good. So It will be interesting how he comes back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's going to take a lot out of him or not. But he sure looked like the horse that I thought he was. And if it wasn't, I think if Messier maybe doesn't stay right up against the rail and give Sonny Leon some room, he might not be able to get through, and Epicenter might actually be the Kentucky Derby winner. But that's the way horse racing goes.
Yep.
It worked out right for him, and thankfully he's getting all the credit he deserves, both he and the horse and the trainer. And it's a great story. It had a lot of buzz for the Kentucky Derby. A lot of people that I know that don't watch horse racing were saying, "Hey, I saw the race. Wow, 80-1." and I like stories like that, even though a lot of people got shut out. I love stories like that. I think it's good for horse racing. But a great Derby. It was fun to watch, and we're off to the Preakness. We have a few horses from the Derby moving forward into the Preakness. Simplification, Epicenter, and is that it?
Happy Jack.
And Happy Jack. You're right.
So we have 2 moving on, and Happy Jack is coming along for the ride.
for the he must like the restaurants in Baltimore or something.
Well, I was listening to some people, and I think that the move is we got to buy a horse, enter it in the Santa Anita Derby, get third, gets us into the Derby. That gets us free tickets. We get to go hang out in the owner suite, and then you're in the Derby. Preakness isn't going to say no, so we get to go to the Preakness and the Derby in 2 weeks.
Only if we can back into the Derby, because you know my feelings about backing
Yes.
into the Derby. So third place sounds about right. That gives us 20 points or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we have another 10 somewhere else, and we back in with 30.
We run the El Camino Real, right? We get third there. We get 22 points.
No El Camino Real. That's a jinx. I don't like that race, and I don't want to be any part of that. So
okay, then we go to the Sunderland. We'll go to the Sunderland Derby. There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So we have 3 horses moving forward to the Preakness: Simplification, Epicenter, and Happy Jack. It's going to be a field of 9. I think it's going to be a pretty good race. This field of 9 is about right for this track. It's a little tighter track. It does favor speed. Normally, this race favors speed. It favors horses that run from the front, which gives Epicenter and Secret Oath if she gets a good jump out of the gate. So it should be good, but I think it's going to be like 3 or 4 horses and then 5 others. I think there's going to be a big difference, but we'll talk about that a little bit. The post position draw, do you think it plays any part in the race?
Nope, not in this race. It plays a big deal when you have 20, because we have one race a year that has 20 horses, and it's the Kentucky Derby. This one you have 9. This is like a turf allowance at Santa Anita on a Saturday is their premier race. So most of these horses have faced 9, except for all of them probably faced 9 at this point. Maybe not the one that I'm not even going to try and pronounce, the 7th coming out of Santa Anita, Armagnac. Who's coming out of Santa Anita. So I think the most he's ever faced is 6. So he's the only one that's kind of maybe up against it. But otherwise, I think the post positions are what they are. Speed was drawn where speed's going to go. And I don't think, post positions should play no part in this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. 9, I think 9 horses is perfect. I think it's a fair race for every horse and their style. So let's take a look at that field now while we're there. Again, it's a 1 mile and 3/16 race, so it's a 16th of a mile shorter than the Kentucky Derby, and it's on Pimlico Racetrack, which again is like a little tighter course, so it will favor the faster horses and in my opinion the smaller horses if they're agile. So the field in the 1 position is Simplification, who ran the Derby, ran a really good 4th place, actually, was about mid-pack, midway through the race, and made a nice little run in the stretch.
If this one had skipped the Kentucky Derby and came here, he'd be sitting at probably 8-9 to 1, and he'd be my top choice. He would be sneaky. He went off at 35 to 1 in the Kentucky Derby. He was far back, and he had every right to come in and close in that, and he just couldn't. So he wasn't good enough to get that. This field he has a shot in. He's just going to be at such a price because he was in the Superfecta. So everybody knows, like, oh, Simplification, he just ran 4th. Why can't he get 2nd? He beat everybody else that was in this race. So he has a right to do it. I think, we talked about Simplification when we were talking about the Derby. He's a good horse. He's going to love Gulfstream Park for the rest of his life, and he's going to make his owners a whole bunch more money than he's already made. And he fits in the superhero only because there's 9 horses in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. I think he hits the super easy, possibly the try. They do go with Johnny Velasquez for the ride. Jose Ortiz was on him in the Derby, who I love. I love the Ortiz brothers on any horse. So it'll be interesting to see as Johnny V rides him for the first time. The number 2, Creative Minister, a Kenny McPeak entry with Brian Hernandez aboard. His last time out was an optional claiming 80,000. Had a good number, a 142 and 1 at Churchill Downs. He's raising little eyebrows right now. So it's going to be interesting to see where this horse sits at the beginning of the race. And my guess is he's going to be about 3 or 4 through the 4th back and then make a run. It seems like he's got a pretty good kick.
So the interesting thing about this one, and one of the reasons why when we do have our horse that backs in the Derby next year, we're not going to use Kenny McPeak because this horse was not nominated for the Triple Crown. So his owners coughed up 150 grand to get him into this race. 2 weeks later, he's running on the same rest as everybody else. If he was coming in, say 2 weeks before this and had a 4-week rest, this is the wise guy, smart guy money. Everybody's betting this one. But on 2-week turnaround, he's only raced 3 times. Like, he could win, right? He has the numbers to do it. His my use time form, you use Briz. Briz has him at what, 101 on that last race. Those type of horses have every right to do it. Fourth on the 3-year-old. His first race was March 5th. He hasn't have enough. If we said Taba didn't have enough seasoning when he came into the Derby, this is a much smaller field, but this one has nothing compared to what Taba does, in my opinion. So I think this one has a shot of winning, but I won't have a single penny on this horse.
Yeah, he's going to race against much better horses in this race, and like you said, he's pretty green, but he's looked good in all 3 of his outings, and it'd be kind of interesting to see where his odds are come race day. The number 3 is Fenwick. Florent Geroux rides Fenwick. He's raced 6 times, won first, a second. Last time out, he tired badly in the bluegrass and finished 11th, 36 lengths back. I don't even remember this horse in that race, to be honest with you. And I didn't even watch it recently, so I just remember him being in the bluegrass.
Yep.
But just from what I see, any chance of him getting in the money?
Nope. I mean, this is one that we would own. We would say, hey, we can get to the Preakness and they're going to pay for us to go. Yes, I'm in. Let's go. Right. So he has that bluegrass, but he hadn't ran outside of a maiden race before that. So there's absolutely nothing here that suggests he likes the distance. There's nothing here that suggests he has the number. His maiden race at Tampa, which I'm going to check your Brisnet because I didn't look at them before, was a 90 on Brisnet, which is a pretty good Brisnet number. But, you look at the one above on Creative Minister, ran a 101 in his last race. This one ran a 90. So on a speed figure scale, the bigger the number, the faster the horse in theory. This one has no chance against Creative Minister, who I just threw out. When he did face good horses, he lost to Zandon and Smile Happy and Emmanuel, who are all horses that I like. 11th out of 11. He was, they just took him out, right? Once he made the turn and he was falling backwards, they wrapped him up. So he probably could have got up to 9th, but at that point, what's the point? I've spent too much time talking about him already because he's going to be 9th. I think even Smile Happy gets this one.
Well, his morning line is 50-1, but I would say look out for one reason only, and that's Florent Geroux. And I've seen him get on horses that have no business getting in the money. And some way he gets in there and mops it up somehow. So I'm going to be watching his odds. And if his odds go as high as his morning line, I'm going to throw him in my super because that's the kind of horse you want to get those big supers and tries. And this is the Preakness, which allows 10-cent supers. So I will be keeping an eye on the odds in this horse because I believe that much in Florent.
Interesting. I like it. You just talked him onto my trifecta. I'm in the tournament this weekend, so he's on my try. You just did it. Good job.
The 4, Secret Oath, the filly, D. Wayne Lucas entry, who was at one time was considering the Derby until a real, I don't want to say bad Arkansas Derby, just didn't run his race. I don't know if you want to blame Luis Contreras or not on that, but a 3rd place finish in the Arkansas Derby. I don't believe he had enough points. I don't believe she had enough points to get in.
Yep, she did not.
So she went to Kentucky Oaks
and
won a really nice race there. I really like this filly. I was hoping for a nice filly for this year. I had a future bet for a filly to come in 2nd in the Derby, and I was really hoping she got in. Finished in the top 2 for the Arkansas Derby. It didn't work out. They ran her in the Oaks, and I was a little disappointed, but I like her in this race.
So all of my notes on here say you have to play against this one, right? She ran 3rd against the boys in Cyberknife and Barbara Road, who weren't very good. She was 7-5 favorite in that Arkansas Derby. So I've said, no, she's going to be overbet at 9-2. There's absolutely no reason I want this horse. And today I got my email from my stable notes on Equibase, and my note for her is, probably the best 3-year-old this year. She should win the Derby. And now I have, old Nick talking to new Nick saying, well, she's probably the best horse there is. And legitimately, if you go back and look at that Honeybee, that was the easiest 7.5 length victory you've ever seen. She probably could have won by 36, but they already won by the time they hit this top of the stretch, and she just kind of walked, it seemed. She broke her maiden at Churchill, which is one of the reasons why I think she had such a good run at the Kentucky Oaks. Your play of it winning at Churchill makes for a horse that can win at Churchill on the big days. Didn't run great at the Goldenrod, so maybe I've just contradicted myself, but I am very, very torn on this one. I think she's going to be overbet. I don't think she's a good value at 9-2, and that's one of the things that I look at most is, is she going to win the race 18% of the time? And I don't think she does, but she's probably the best horse of the crop. And so I think, that we've actually got to the point where Epicenter is the best horse in the 3-year-old crop, but you're going to be hard pressed to tell me she's not the second best. So it may be a 8-4 exacta for me if it pays well enough, but I have a hard time having her win, but I'm talking myself back into her in my 30-second rambling about her.
Well, there's a couple of reasons why I like her. One of it, Luis Saez, he shows up in big races. The other reason is I like her agility on this track. I think her size and style are good for this track. I mean, the Honeybee, if she was wrapped up coming down the stretch, she still finished in 144-3. So she potentially could have run like a 142, which is right up there where you want to be for this race. I'm going to be using her. Plus, she's going to be third choice. Early voting, I think, is going to be second choice. She's going to be third choice, and she might be higher than 9-2. So if we can get closer to 6-1, even better for me, because I'll be using her in the top 2 spots.
Yeah, if we get 9-2 on her, I have big win bets with her. But I do think that with her being the only filly, I think she does come down a little bit off of that. And we'll get to the next one. I think they'll be fighting for that second spot.
Yeah, I think she'll get some money too, just because fillies have done so well in this race recently. But we'll just wait and see what happens.
Yep.
The 5 early voting, Chad Brown entry, Jose Ortiz aboard. You know what I think about the Ortiz brothers? They always find a way to get there. Lightly raced, 3 races. Skipped the Derby after having enough points to qualify. I think did early voting back in a little bit. I think
Nope. Ran second in the Wood Memorial, which gets him right
50.
in. Yeah.
So they pulled out. I can't remember why Chad Brown. If it was a hoof.
Nope. It sounded like they were afraid of the pace, and really, It sounds like Zandon was Chad Brown's Derby horse, and he said, "Well, Zandon's going to win the Derby. He probably won't go to the Preakness, or he would go to the Preakness, and we'll send early voting there to be his rabbit." So, if you watched our Derby show, I said specifically that my wife has notes about how I can't bet Mo Donegal in the Derby. I also have a note that says bet early voting at 7-1 in the Preakness. So had Zandon showed up and had Rich Strike showed up, I get my 7-1 early voting in my mind. With the 7-2 price, he could win, right? Like he has every right to go gate to wire here. There's not a lot of speed in this race. He should be the fastest out of the gate and the first, to hit the turn and then just cruise around the backstretch. Not much pressure on him. My big concern is that he gets a little tired and that really Epicenter is just better than him, right? Like Epicenter just comes up, hits him at the eighth pole and just runs right by him. Early voting goes second, and that I'm going to definitely have an exacta with Epicenter over early voting. And Secret Oath has every right to also run him down with her way she runs coming after people. After horses, not people. She doesn't attack people. She's a good closer. She's really good at sitting off the pace. I love Time Forms because they have their pace projector in the top corner. They have her a little further back than I believe she will be. I think she will actually be close to the pace, and that will be early voting's biggest problem is that if she's closer to him, she may be able to just run him down because she is probably better than him.
Yeah, I think he will be on the lead. And I think he's going to try and set a slower pace. He's going to try and control the pace. If somebody else goes with him, it could be trouble for early voting. Although he does finish well. I mean, I'm looking at my Brisnet.
Yep.
He did a 111 closing in the Wood Memorial. He did a 91 in the Withers.
Yep. And that was a
So he's got
muddy
some stay
track.
power.
Yeah.
He's got some stay power, and that's a plus. Plus, he's fresh. Only 3 races lifetime,
Yep.
2 firsts and a second. I mean, with Jose Ortiz aboard, if you like this horse,
Yeah.
you're going to get a nice little price. And I think it's just a matter of what that pace is going to be like.
Yeah.
If it's
And
slower, I think he's really got a shot.
Yeah, and Jose Ortiz does jump off of Simplification, who finished 4th in the Kentucky Derby, to come ride this one. So I don't read too much into jockeys making switches like that, because Jose Ortiz wants Chad Brown horses at Saratoga in 4 months. So he may just be doing it because Chad Brown asked him nicely. But in races like this that pay a whole bunch of money, they typically aren't doing big favors. So Jose Ortiz wins a lot of races, and he has, jumping over there makes him a little bit more interesting to me as well.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what that pace turns out to be with early voting. The 6, Happy Jack, a Doug O'Neill entry with Tyler Gaffleone, finished 14th in the Derby. Was really never in it. I probably just pulled up towards the end, finished 19 lengths back. Was a 3rd in the Santa Anita Derby. I think he passed
Forbidden Kingdom.
Forbidden Kingdom, yeah.
Yep.
But I think Forbidden Kingdom kind of let up a little
wrapped
bit.
it up,
but,
and yeah.
Yeah, but you think there's any chance Happy Jack gets in the money?
One of the things I don't like to do is correct people when we're on a show like this, so I'm not going to make it a big deal. But he finished 14th because he passed some tiring ones. Like, if you read the notes from the trip, he passed tiring horses and he only got 14th. The only horse behind 12th at the half mile that didn't get in the top 10 is this horse. If this horse gets anywhere near the super high 5, which finishes 5th, I will, I don't know what will happen. I can't imagine this one has any right or any way of getting there. But like I said, get a free trip to the Derby. I mean, Calumet Farms has a whole bunch of money, so I don't know why they're, running this one all over the place. An Oxbow bred, so maybe they're trying to get some sire type thing here. I don't know. This one doesn't make any sense to me in any way.
Yeah, I probably won't be using this one. Only thing I really like about this horse is the jockey. I think Tyler Gaffleone's an up and coming jockey, but even the jockey, I don't think can get him in the top 4. To be honest with you,
Nope.
He would have to have a serious pace meltdown, I think, for him to get in there. Which is, I mean, it could happen, but I don't see it. Yeah. 7, Armagnac, a Tim Yakteen horse, ridden by Irad Ortiz. Last time out was first in an optional claiming 100. There's a lot of buzz about this horse, and I, how I like West Coast horses.
Yep.
I'm going to pay real attention to this horse and odds, and I may use him as high as first. I think he could shock the field by sitting off the pace and making a run late.
So I'm with you on the pace. If you look at, for people who don't quite know how to read these forms, if you can highlight, if you look under Armagnac, they have the big bar, and it says Santa Anita all the way at the bottom, all the little writing. He was 1 all the way around with a 97 pace figure, with, which is a good at a race that wasn't very good. He was a 2.5, 5-2 favorite. Didn't beat much what was coming out of there. The time form pace figures are the ones that I like the best because I believe they do the best job with them. With that said, he should be the pace, but then you look at the pace figures and he's got a 110 early pace figure, a 113 running style, whereas early voting's got a 126, which means early voting's 13 points faster than him, which would be fine if early voting was outside of Armagnac. Armagnac can kind of just fight up against the rail and hold it. But I think Armagnac's going to sit behind early voting, but I don't think he's going to sit on his hip. I think he's going to sit behind him. And as you look at his chart here, he's passed 3 horses in his life. His maiden race back in December 31st, he passed 3 horses. And after that, he hasn't passed a single horse. And so that doesn't mean much. He's 3. He's had, 5 races. It's entirely possible that he just runs by horses here. Irad jumping on is where it really gets me. Irad normally rides for Chad Brown. Jose Ortiz had ridden early voting, so Irad was kind of the guy without a horse. I don't like this one, but I'm not saying much with the 12-1. So I'm expecting him to come down to 7 to 8-1. Kind of take some of that West Coast money. People thinking, oh, it used to be a Baffert. Now it's the Actine. This is the one that's going to fire, and he'll come get some money. Now, if he gets no money, he goes off at 12, 13-1. Well, then I can change my story, right? Then I tell you how he didn't have to go fast because he was a length ahead, and he just stayed in front of that horse and he galloped out. And if he wanted to go faster, he could have. I don't believe that, but 13-1, I can believe a lot of things. So this one's interesting. I can see it getting third in the trifecta, and the 13-1. Yeah, I'd put some win money on him.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I like about this horse.
Yeah.
Irad for one, an ex Baffert for another, and I feel like he's just getting better. So I will be using this one in my tries, exactas, and possibly on top of some of those.
Interesting.
So yeah, I feel like this is going to be the one that makes it pay. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I'm going to just hold on for 1 second. I wanted to point out on that one at the San Felipe, he was the last race with Baffert. And then you see above it, it was previously trained by Bob Baffert. Then went to the Santa Anita Derby, and it went off at 72-1. It was in a race with Forbidden Kingdom, who at that time was on the, was a big horse, was in the Derby almost. Messier, and at that time, the 4-1 Taba. And so it's not surprising, there's only 6 horses in there, so it could be 72-1, and just the other ones took money. But Bafferts that go at 72-1 are typically not ones that are the ones they expect to be big. And so again, it has every right to win a 9-horse field, right? If this is a Derby, I toss him entirely. But in this race, I'm interested in with what you're saying. It's a kind of an interesting idea of this one. I'm intrigued now.
Yeah, well, I think maybe Irad gets the most out of him here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of hoping for. So we'll see. I think this is going to be a good value, though.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be watching the odds, and I will use them on top in some of my tickets just as kind of my shocker. But we'll go to the 8 now. Epicenter, second in the Derby, ran a hell of a race, only to be caught by Rich Strike, a few lengths from the finish line. He's done nothing wrong all year. Joel Rosario would be on board again. I mean, you really can't say much. Just kind of wonder how much that Derby took out of this horse.
Yeah, I mean, and if you believe time figures, which I do, I mean, they make speed figures for a reason, and they're really good. If you look, he matched his 101 on Brisnet on his last 2 races. So at the Louisiana Derby, he ran a 101. The Kentucky Derby, he ran a 101. On time forms, he ran a 116 in the Louisiana Derby and a 120. So those numbers are different. So you can't compare a 101 to a 120. That doesn't mean a huge difference, but they're pretty comparable in what they're saying here. The only horses he's lost to is Call Me Midnight, which was, I believe, a 35 or something to 1 shot, and Rich Strike, which was the 80-1. So if there's a huge price here, it seems like that's the angle. Like Epicenter only loses to ones that can't beat him, right? I mean, other than that, like he can run and just be in the pace. I don't think he gets the pace here, though. He has a similar early rating as Armiak. So if he's in front of Armiak, it wouldn't be totally surprising to me. But he closes and he beats horses, right? So that Louisiana Derby, he sat third. It seemed like they did it on purpose, where they wanted to say, hey, sit behind these horses. And then when we get to the top of the stretch, then sprint. And he seemed to do it with ease. So if Epicenter loses this race, I'm going to lose a whole bunch of money. I don't like to bet 4 to 5s or with the being the Preakness on NBC, let's hope we get 4 to 5 on this one. I'm going to put basically every penny I have in any of my betting accounts on Epicenter to win. I do have a double I'm going to be playing from the race before this that we'll talk about in a second. But Epicenter has, the only reason he has not to win is coming back on 2 weeks. And I was looking at, I had my iPad turned off. Sorry. Asmussen on turnarounds is 25%. So horses coming off of an 8 to 14 day turnaround, he wins 25% of the time. He knows what he's doing. He has the most wins ever in North America. This horse wins with ease, I believe.
Well, you were talking about the 2 losses, one to Rich Strike and one Call Me Midnight. If you look here, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but both of those races were faster than normal.
Mm-hmm.
At the first call, it was a +15. in the Lecomte, and in the first call in the Derby, it was a +20.
Yep.
Of course, because of summer.
Yeah. Summer is tomorrow.
Tomorrow. And even the second call in the Derby was a little bit faster than normal, and in Lecomte. So if you get a really fast pace, that's possible, I guess.
Yep.
I don't see it being a super fast pace with the 9-field horse and not a whole lot of speed in the race. I think it'd be a pretty fair pace, and that's just a bigger excuse to use the horse.
Yeah. I mean, the only way that I see it happening is that if Armagnac says I have to get the lead, right? If Yak Teen's told Irad, get the lead, no matter what, get in front of early voting. And if that happens, you can get simplification kind of sucked up there with him, and you can get 3 horses going. I believe that Joel Rosario is smart enough not to be bought into that. But if he does also get up because it's a 9-horse field, you can see that sort of developing. Irad going that fast against Jose, they're brothers. There's lots of talk about how they don't ever try to beat the other one. I don't believe that nonsense, but I don't see how you can get that big of a early pace. So yes, that's entirely possible. I think that's how he loses, and I just don't see how that develops in this race.
Yeah, I think Armagnac and Epicenter pull in right behind early voting, and they just sit there and wait. I don't think Armagnac goes to the lead or tries to go to the lead. I think he's going to be right next to Epicenter, like you said, right behind early voting, and Epicenter will be just slightly off the the hip of early voting. I think that's the best spot for him, and I don't know why they wouldn't sit that position. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll move on to the number 9, Skippy Longstocking. Safi Joseph Jr. entry, ridden by Junior Alvarado, was third in the Wood Memorial. I don't remember if this horse, I think he was mid-pack the whole way, if I remember right. The numbers say he was. Never he kind of went with the winners, but never really made up ground. So I don't know what to think about this one. He's kind of an early presser, so he should be close to the lead. I'm thinking he's going to be just behind Epicenter and Armagnac. So I kind of like that. He closes decent.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be one of those things where I kind of see what his odds are. I think he's going to have really high odds, and higher odds than he should. And for that reason, I might be using him in my tries.
Yep.
Because his Wood number is big. It's a 107 Brisnet number in a race that finished in 147-4. That's got to catch your attention, behind Mo Donegal and early voting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about this one. The Wood, he was 17-1, so nobody thought he had a chance. And a lot of that is because Mo Donegal and early voting took so much money. I think early voting was 2-1 in that one, and I think Mo Donegal was even shorter. So there was just so much money on those two that he was probably, I don't know, let's call him third, fourth choice type of thing. But he came late, and he ran well late in a mile and an eighth. The one that interests me more is the allowance race at Gulfstream 2-back, where he ran a good number, sat behind a fast pace, and then closed really well. He was 9-2, so it's not like he was this unknown horse. He's raced a whole bunch, 9 races already. He's won 2. He's hit the board 5 out of his 9 races. He's been in the top 3. He is definitely a trifecta type for me, especially at 20-1. If the pace does get even slightly hot, I believe he has a chance of running down. Him in the third spot is between Armagnac and what's her name, Secret Oath for me. And so at 20-1, I prefer him in that third spot, but I'll probably play all 3 of them somewhere in that try.
Yeah, I think Skippy Longstocking's going to need a fast pace. That race you were talking about 2-back that he won. If you look, the Brisnet first call was a +30, and the second call was a +20. So all he was doing was just sitting, waiting for that pace to melt down.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go back and watch that race. I'm going to go back and watch a couple of races.
Yeah.
As far back as the Mucho Man. But yeah, I'm not completely throwing this horse out. I like that big number in the Wood, and it's just going to be a matter of what is the pace going to be to his liking.
Yeah,
he's going to
for
make
sure.
something fast. I just don't feel like it's going to be. So
Yep.
We'll see what happens. So that's the field of 9. Just your let me get back to the screen. Just your thoughts in general of who you like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty, it's an Epicenter's race to lose. If Epicenter loses, it's early voting for me. But I'm also willing to play early voting out of the top 3. So, like I said, I'm in the Preakness tournament. I'm intrigued by throwing early voting entirely out of my trifectas, assuming it gets too fast. Secret Oath running second and Armiak running third is where I'm sort of kind of leaning for my try. Maybe doing an Armiak, Skippy Longstocking in second and Secret Oath in third, perhaps. And then Creative Minister Simplification feel like ones that I'm going to have a little bit of money on, but it's going to be entirely through Epicenter at the top. And if Epicenter doesn't win this white race, then all of this is going to be for naught because I'll lose.
Yeah, I'm not gonna single one horse. I do like Epicenter, so I will be using Epicenter on top. But I like Secret Oath, as I said, and I will be using Secret Oath on top as well. And I think I'm going to use a couple of long shots underneath, along with Simplification, who I think is going to run a solid race.
Yeah.
And may not win, but will be in the top 4. I'll be throwing some supers together, some tries. Originally, I thought I was going to hump up on an Exacta, Secret Oath, and Epicenter. But I'm starting to back off that right now. But if I look at the Exactas and they pay well, I may do like a $50 or $100 Exacta box with those 2 horses. That might be a good way to make some money. So we're going to wait and see what the payouts are the day.
I mean, I think one of the things that, especially in a race like this, you have early money that you can bet. So tomorrow they'll open the pools and they'll let you do that. They also will have the Black-Eyed Susan into the Preakness double, and the Black-Eyed Susan being so wide open, it'll kind of give you a good idea of what the second, who the second choice is going to be, and if it is Secret Oath, I think then you can, hope for a $3 or $4 Epicenter Secret Oath Exacta. But that'll be an interesting thing to really see what that is.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought the early betting options. For those of you that don't have a wagering account, don't forget you can take advantage of some really good promotional offers on sites like TVG, ExpressBet, TwinSpires. They offer some great sign-up bonuses for first-time people that sign up, and you need to take advantage of it because they're basically giving you free money. I think one of the sites is still matching your bonus up to $250, and then I think TwinSpires will give you $100 for every $400 you bet. That's a little bit more for more serious bettors, but there's a lot of promotions. And then once you sign up, many of them all offer money back specials if you bet a horse to come in first place. For example, I think it's up to $10 or $15. You can bet a horse, your first win bet. If that horse finishes second or third, you get your money back. You can't cash it out, but you can re-wager that again. And if you're on 2 or 3 sites, which I have been doing, I've been putting different horses to win. It's almost like getting 3 free bets if they come in second or third if they don't win. And so there are ways to take advantage of the system, take advantage of the free promotional money, and then continue to use the free promotions that they offer. In fact, they actually have some free. TwinSpires has some actual free trifectas you can play. I think it's almost daily, where you can just pick the top 3, and if you win, you get a share of a specified pool. So that's kind of a fun way to play if you're brand new too. And like I said, this race offers 10-cent Exactas, so there's
10-cent supers,
10-cent supers. So you have an opportunity to make smaller bets, if you have a smaller bankroll, and potentially win a lot of money without putting much at risk. So keep that in mind if you're new to horse racing. So because you can actually score some big superfectas at the 10-cent level. So speaking of big superfectas, I want to talk a little bit about who you think could show up underneath with a big price. And this is a new segment that we're doing here called, let me see if I can remember. I believe it's Longo Zibambo. So we're going to try and pick give you a horse that we feel can hit the board with the longest odds in our new segment.
All right, it's the Longo Zibambo. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, our brand new segment, the Longo Zibambo, where we're going to give you our horse we feel like with the longest odds of hitting the board or possibly winning. So, Nick, I'll let you start off. Give us one or two that you think could hit the board with big odds.
So you gave me the assignment of picking one, and as you know, I don't pick short prices. I hate them, and so I picked two, and I happen to pick them in back-to-back races. So I'm going to do a Longo Zibongo daily double.
Okay,
so
wait,
this is what we're
I
going
got
to
to
do.
stop you right there. It's as in long bomb. It's Longo Zibambo.
I will never get it right. So I'll screw it
Go
up
ahead,
every
sorry.
time we do it. It's okay. So race 10 on Saturday. It's a 1 mile on the turf stake races. I didn't write down the actual stakes. It's one of those. It's not a graded stakes. It's just for 3-year-olds. It's a interesting race. There's a bunch of horses in here. I believe there's 11 on the field, and I'm going with the number 3, Uncaptured Spirit, 12-1 on the morning line. And if you look at the PPs, you say, Nick, you're insane. This makes no sense. It ran at a 5.5 mile dirt race at Parks 2 races ago. It ran in at 5.5 furlongs on the turf allowance last race at Laurel. And today it's coming in on a stakes race going a mile on the turf. But here we go. Uncaptured is a great turf horse. And because I have more than enough time on my hands while my wife is out of town, I looked at Spirited Storm, who is a good dam and has produced some really good sprinters on the turf. But wait, there's more. We're going to do a double. So 12-1 on the 3 in race 10. And we're going to do that into race 11, the number 4, the Addison Poor at 15-1. So a 12-1 to a 15-1 double. That should pay you between $300 and $500 for a dollar. And we're going to play it for a lot because I don't like money and I love to bet on horses. And this is, we're playing long shots. So here we go. Going a mile and 16th on the dirt. This one came out of an allowance race at Laurel. This Preakness is always interesting to me because you get a lot of these Laurels races coming back in. Laurel is a very small track in the grand scheme of things. A lot of these connections are skipping over Laurel to go from Churchill to Belmont. Belmont has allowance races paying more than the stakes race, but these Laurel horses now have a chance of winning $100,000. And so the Addison Poor ran 2-1, ran a 97 speed time form speed figure, has every right to get better, should probably be on the turf if this one doesn't work out, but 15-1 the Addison Poor. And I found out today that the Addison Pour, which is the important part of this whole thing, is normally when you pour a drink you put 1 ice cube and do 2 pours, 2 seconds. The Addison Pour is opposite. You put in 2 ice cubes and you fill it up. So how do you go wrong filling up a cup at the Addison Pour? So race 10 number 3 with a daily double to the race 11 number 4 the Addison Pour.
Okay, I got them marked down. I was hoping for a Longo Zibambo in the Preakness. Do you have a long shot in the Preakness?
I don't.
If you have to pick one, I hate to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, and if we're going to pick one that's going to come underneath, because as I said, I don't see Epicenter losing. I do think it's Skippy Longstocking. Skippy Longstocking, having lost early voting, makes it a little bit hard for me to play. And if we're being honest, Armyak at 12-1, and I think coming down at from 12-1, I think will be lower than that. So I will go with Skippy Longstocking as my longer shot in the tries.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it in the Preakness, and my Longo Zibambo is going to be Armagnac. I'm going to be using Armagnac in the third spot mostly. I might use him in the second, but I'm going to use Armagnac, and I'm going to I'm doing that mostly because of Irad Ortiz.
Mm-hmm.
The Ortiz brothers always find a way to get in the money somehow. And with the field of 9, I think that's a piece of cake for our horses that has run a couple of 97s in the last 2 races. So Armagnac is my Longo Zibambo play. So we'll see how that plays out. Any last thoughts on the Preakness or the Friday card?
The only thing I've looked at, I'm going to look tonight at the Friday card a little bit closer, seeing how it played today. They took everything off the turf today, even though it was hot and there was no rain, so that was interesting. The Black-Eyed Susan, I like the 11 radio days. Let me grab my papers. I've already thrown it down. She's interesting, right? Like, I don't want to play against Adar Manor. She got beat by Desert Dawn, who's the number 10 Adari Manor. I like Radio Days coming out of Keeneland. She went 7 furlongs, so 7 1/8 of a mile. She's going to stretch back out. It's a mile and 1/8. She seems to fit here on speed figure. She's ran 100 time form a couple of times, and at 12 to 1 again. Those are the type of ones that I want to look at. And with a 13 horse field, I like to look for those kind of longer prices. Adar Manor has every reason to win, but I can't play a 5 to 2 former Baffert, former Reactine, shipping across the country. So the other one that I kind of liked, Luna Bell, had ran at Laurel. Yeah, has run 5 races in a row. But if you look at her odds, she was 3 to 5, which means she pays 60 cents on the dollar, 2 to 5, 40 cents on the dollar, 1 to 5, 20 cents on the dollar, 1 to 9, 10 cents on the dollar. So she's supposed to win those races. Now she's 9 to 2, running against just way better here. So she could win, right? But Jean is the other one I liked coming out of the fantasy, the Secret Oath less fantasy. I really like the idea of her here. And again, 12 to 1, that's the one that I'm going to kind of be keying around the 11 Radio Days and the 5 Bajine into Epicenter to try and make myself some money. And the Black-Eyed Susan to the Preakness double.
I am going to try and bet. I will be in Vegas tomorrow, so I may be communicating with you on some bets. We got a full day tomorrow, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to play. We do have a Saturday Preakness live, I guess you could call it a watch show, watch and wager show, whatever you want to call it, where we just kind of watch the race. I will be coming back from Vegas, and it's going to be a little tight. Nick, you might have to cover the show for me for a little bit, but I will be in at some point, maybe mobily at first, but I know you can carry the show. So good luck to you on Friday, and good luck to you in the Preakness. Any final thoughts?
The only other one that I said that I was going to give out, so I will, is the double to end the court card on Saturday.
Okay.
Katori, the number 2 in race 12, 8 to 5, 9 to 5 on the morning line, right? There's no value there. But if you play a double, which is linking race 12 and race 13, a 9 to 5 into Epicenter 6 to 5, if that's paying 4 to 1 or so, that's how you can kind of generate a little bit of value. 2 horses you think are for sure things, and then you can also tie in the pick 3s and pick 4s with my Longzo de Bomzo. Still didn't get it, but I was much closer that time. And if you get those 2 in to then the 2 favorites, you can actually maybe make a little bit of money there, and that's a 50 cent for a pick 4. So I may pay that for $5 and hope for some bombs coming in early.
So that horse with Epicenter in the double, what are you thinking? Like a $40? You said at 4 to 1, maybe
4 to 1 is kind of what I'm hoping for here, because you got the clear morning line favorite in race 12 and the clear morning line favorite in the Preakness. So there's not going to be any real value, but a 9 to 5 with a $2 bet pays about $5, which is 2.5 to 9 to 5, 1.8 to 1.
I may use that horse with Secret Oath.
Yep.
In the double.
And that's really the way that I would really go after this, is play that one into some of the longer shots. And then there's a couple of other ones in that race, which you'll have to tune in on Saturday to get my opinions on. But there's a couple other ones that I'll play into our friend Epicenter to try and get some value. But my big play will be the 2 in race 12 into the 8 in race 13 and hope for 4 to 1 and hit it for maybe, a mortgage amount.
Well, I'm a little worried about the race before the Preakness because what's the post time on that? I don't know that we're scheduled at 3:15, and my guess it's probably going to be an hour.
2:51.
Yeah, so we won't be able. So you want to give that out now?
All right. You
I mean,
twisted my arms.
because we're not going to make it. The race is going to be over. And it'll be easy
Well,
to
then I
pick a
can
winner.
say how I nailed it. I can say, look how smart I was. You guys missed it. I like the 5, Mr. Hustle. Again, one of these been running on dirt, running on turf. This is a 5 furlong turf race, so it's fast. You want to be up on the lead. And with all the pace it should be in this race, the 5 coming a little bit late, Mr. Hustle at 10-1. And it was Smokin' Jay at 6-1, the number 6. Another one, first off of a long layoff, a 4-year-old, first time coming out, had a huge race last time back in December at Gulfstream, so has a real shot. And Hollis, the number 9, which doesn't make any sense, but a guy that I respect a lot was saying how if you have to go off of this horse's page, which is more than 15 races ago, it's a 7-year-old gelding, which means it can't have any more little horses coming up from Mr. Hollis here. But going back on its long dirt, on its short turf, way back, I believe it was 2018, has a real number that fits here. John Ortiz was crushing at Oaklawn, so I kind of like that one. So that one's 6-1. So you got the number 5, Mr. Hollis at 10-1, the number 6, Smoking Jay at 6-1, and the number 9, Hollis at 6-1, all going into race 13 with Epicenter. All kind of fit. Those ones I want much more of a 20-30-1 type of number, which you probably won't get quite that good now that I'm saying it out loud, but something in that range of 15-20-1 is more realistic on some of those.
Well, don't forget to register for your money back specials and play them on
Yes.
multiple sites because the Friday and Saturday card are great opportunities for that, where you can basically make 2 or 3 free $10 bets if they get in the money. So take advantage of that. I know you've in the past you haven't. So take advantage of that and good luck and stay tuned because we may have a pop-up show tomorrow or Saturday where we just do a race. Like I said, I'll be in Vegas on Friday. If I find time, I may hit you with a pop-up for the big race tomorrow. We'll see. I just don't know what my schedule is going to be like. So keep an eye on the schedule. If you want to see a little Vegas style wagering, I'll be live in the sports book. If I do a pop-up show, I don't know if you're going to be available, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll try and hit you up.
Oh, yeah.
I'll hit you up if I think we can do a quick one.
Yep. All day tomorrow. I have the TV on in the office. I'm working tomorrow. Very, very important stuff going on. I move all my stuff out into the middle of the conference room and I turn the TV on and, make people pick numbers and let them bet $2. And when they win, I say, nope, that's not how it works. You lost. Sorry.
Well, it's good to include them. At least, you can do a little education there while you're working there.
Exactly.
Well, thanks again for all your insight, Nick. I really appreciate it. And let's hope that we hit something big in the Preakness or on the Friday card. So
Yep.
that's it for today's Preakness show, Preakness preview show. Tune in on Saturday for our Preakness live show starting at 3:15 and possibly a pop-up show for Friday or sometime earlier on Saturday. So that's it from nofilter.net. Any last words, Nick?
Nope. Let's make some money this weekend.
Okay, let's make some money. Thanks again for watching us on nofilter.net, and we'll see you on Saturday, possibly Friday. Good night.